Hello friends, welcome to Story Time with Teacher Julian. Today's book, well, it's going to be the third time that we're going to read Radio Man. It's a story in English and Spanish by Arthur Doros and the Spanish translation by Sandra Marulanda Doros. Radio Man. So do you remember what the book is about? Remember that there is a little boy. His name is, think about it, put your thinking cap on, Diego. That's right. And his family, they do a job. It's called a migrant farm worker, and they move from place to place, picking up crops. They pick fruits and vegetables, and then they put them to the people, and then the people will sell them. So that's what they do. And along the way, Diego has a friend named David that at one point they're together, and then you remember what happens next, right? That's right. They go their separate ways, and he's always looking for him every place that he goes. So let's get ready to read Radio Man. Okay, let's go. Diego woke up to sounds of a deep voice on the radio. Buenos dias. Good morning. The words in Spanish and English echoed across the room. Esta es la voz de la frontera. This is the voice of the border. Good morning, Texans. So when they say that it's the voice of the border, it means in between two things. Like there's one country and another country, or one state and another state. The border is the place that divides them. When you drive from city to city, there is a border between Union City and Hayward. That's the border they're talking about. ¿Estás listo? Asked Diego's grandfather, Abuelo. I'm ready, said Diego. Beep, beep. A truck's horn sounded outside. Diego's mother, father, and little sister, Alicia, were ready, waiting in the front seat of the truck. There's Abuelo, Diego, Mommy and Papi, and Alicia. And that's early in the morning when he got up. Diego carried the radio and climbed into the truck. Hey, Radio Man, called Diego's friend David. David called him Radio Man because Diego was always listening to the radio. Can I ride with you today? Sí, vamos, said Papi, waving. Yeah, let's go, said Diego. We won't see each other for a while. My family is leaving here tomorrow. So is my family, said David. So here's David, and there's Diego. He's going to ride with them today. Diego's family and David's family were migrant farm workers. They traveled most of the year to find work picking fruits and vegetables. This is the last day of cabbage picking. It was dusty and hot in the fields. The boxes of cabbages seemed heavy. Como elefantes, said Abuelo. Diego and David thought the boxes were as heavy as elephants too. It takes two of them to lift up the heavy box that Abuelo is carrying. But they both think it's heavy. Oh, they all think it's heavy. While they rode back to the cabins, Diego turned the radio to a station that played songs in Spanish. Everyone was tired from the work. Canta, said Mama. Diego sang. David tapped a rhythm on the side of the truck, and Mama helped Alicia clap hands in time to the music. So he's tapping his arm on the side of the truck to the music. Now, when it says that they're going back to their cabins, a cabin is like a little small house. Usually not inside of a big city. It's usually outside in the countryside or in the mountains. The next morning, Diego and David said goodbye. They hoped they would see each other soon. Diego waved until David was out of sight. Diego and his family drove west over the mountains. You're listening to KKTS, Cactus Radio Broadcasting from Tucson. Saguaro Cactus Land, said the man's voice on the radio that night. This is the After Sunday Show, and I'm the Night Owl. There they are. David is leaving. There's Diego and his family waving goodbye. And there they are, driving through the desert. Remember the big tall cactus? It's called a, what is it called? A saruaro cactus. It grows tall and straight. And look at the little flowers on it. On highways, on narrow roads, and through small towns, the family drove from farm to farm looking for work. Hello, you're turned into Bird Radio of Phoenix, Arizona. I'm talking to you from the banks of the Gila River. When the radio voice got louder and louder, Diego knew they were getting closer to a town. So you can see the antenna right there. The antenna makes the sound of the radio go louder because you're getting closer to it. Now, when it says they're at the banks of the Gila River or Gila River, the banks means the sides of it. So you have the water part and then you have the ground part. The banks are the part that's kind of like muddy in between. That's where the banks would be. At the melon farm where his family found work, Diego saw his cousins, Sophie and Ernesto. Their family had also found work here. He hadn't seen these cousins in a long time. The three walked to school together every morning. When they went back to the fields after school, they looked for Gila monsters or Gila monsters. Once, David told Diego about Gilas or Gilas. Diego had never seen one. There's a Gila, said Diego on the last day of picking. It looks like one of your dinosaurs, Ernesto, said Sophie. So, the Gila monster or Gila monster is a lizard. So it's not a monster at all, but that's what its name is. It's a Gila or Gila monster. Just a big lizard, but you have to be careful because they have sharp teeth, and if they bite you, they'll get you really sick. They're kind of poisonous. So you just look at them from far away. That night, there was a party with music, food, and a piñata to celebrate the end of melon picking. Bailamos, said Abuelo, and people danced to the music from the radio. Sophie broke the piñata. I didn't think you could run so fast, Diego said to Ernesto. You look like you were chased by a Gila, said Ernesto. And look, there's some of the candy that was inside the piñata. And there's the piñata right there. Sometimes it's filled with candy and toys, or sometimes both. The next day, Diego's family started the long drive to the cherry farms. It was hot in the truck during the day, so the family drove through the cool night. Diego was almost asleep, leaning against Abuelo, when Abuelo jiggled his arm. Escucha, he said. Diego listened to the cackling sounds coming from the radio. Abuelo slowly turned the radio. Buenas noches. The voice spoke only in Spanish. The songs were in Spanish too. So there's Abuelo. It means grandpa. And he's turning the radio to a Spanish station. You can see Papi is driving in the back seat. You can see in the mirror, there's Mommy and his little sister. And there's Diego in the middle. Abuelo heard one of his favorite songs, La Paloma. He told Diego that this station was far, very far away in Mexico. Abuelo had listened to the same song in the village where he grew up. He told Diego about the village, about the forests where the butterflies looked like leaves on a tree, and about the houses shining in the moonlight. You see all the butterflies on the trees? Now the houses are white and the moon reflects on them. So that's why he thinks that they're shining. What do you think they're going to pick next? By dawn, the family was near Lodi. "Good morning, everyone," said the radio woman's voice. She played a song called "Stuck in Lodi Again." Diego had heard that song every summer when he and his family came to Lodi to pick cherries. But Diego never felt stuck in Lodi. He always met someone he knew. Maybe David would be here. David saw two boys he had known at school in Arizona, but he did not find David. Well, there's his family moving into a new little cabin, and I believe these are the two friends that he knows from before. David with his radio and his dog. While he emptied buckets of cherries and took care of Alicia, Diego looked for his friend. During all the days of cherry picking, he looked, but David did not arrive. "Today is the last day of cherry picking," the woman on the radio said. "It's been a great harvest year." "Now we'll go north to new places," said Papa. Look at all the cherry trees. Well, I don't see any little red dots or cherries on any of the trees here. And all of the crates are full of cherries. So, it's time to move on. Look, the birds are eating the cherries, and even this bird has a cherry. Time to go. Papa drove until fog swirled around the truck. Diego heard the ocean waves crashing. "You're listening to Big Radio in Crescent City, gateway to the Giants," the radio man said. The giants were redwood trees. One tree had a tunnel big enough to drive through. I'll tell David about this," said Diego. How big does this tree have to be in order for a car to drive through it? Think about that. Think about how big your car is and how big a tree would have to be for your car to drive through it. That's why they call them giants. Now, when they're talking about the fog swirling, it means that there's fog, which is like kind of like smoke, and it's going around it, so it's spinning. As they're driving, it's spinning around. That's what swirling means. The family drove through forests and through dry country. They stopped at a roadside store to get something to drink and eat. The woman was looking at melons, trying to find a ripe one to buy. Diego wondered if those were the melons he and his family had picked. He looked at the rows of fruits and vegetables. He knew how to pick them. So all of the fruits and vegetables that Diego and his family pick, they're now over here on the market for people to buy. And while this lady is wondering which one is the best, Mr. Diego knows. He knows which one's the best. You think she should ask him? Or he should go over and tell her, "Hey, pick this one, it's the best." You never know. Finally, the family reached the orchards of trees so heavy with apples that the branches almost touched the ground. Diego had never been here before. Ahora, anuncios de KMPO, Campo Radio Campanseña, de Sunnyside, Washington. Now, announcements from KMPO, Campo, Farm Workers Radio, from Sunnyside, Washington. The radio announcer gave a telephone number to the people so the people could call in and give their messages. Diego turned up the volume. Now, first of all, look at the trees. Now, these trees are all filled with apples. Remember the other ones are the cherries? It picked them all up. A lot of work here. So remember, when it says that Diego turned up the volume, it means he turned up the sound of the radio. So he used a knob. Some people use a little button. So, yeah, volume means how loud or how quiet the sound is. Paco, this is Lupe. Feliz cumpleaños. Happy birthday. Elena, your cousin called. She will arrive on Friday. Diego listened to the messages and to the KMPO telephone number again. He ran to a telephone and called the station. The announcer answered, Buenos dias. Do you have a message? Diego did have a message. Hello, David? This is Diego. Are you here? Diego heard his own voice on the radio. Someone was listening. So, I want you to take a good long look at these two pictures. We know, hey, look, this is Diego. Look, it's David. What do they both have? That's right, they both have radios. Now look over here. Who is this? Well, you can see right here, this picture is drawn. It says, by David. So this is David. And who did he draw a picture of? Well, let's look at his shirt. That's right. David drew a picture of Diego. He was thinking of him all that time. And what do I see in the background? Let me flip the page back. Does that look kind of familiar to you? Well, that's it. That's the end. And there's the map of where they traveled. You remember, they started here, and they're working their way all the way up there. The end. It's the back of the book. Radio Man. So friends, how do you think Diego feels about having to move every so often? Like when the crops are all done and they have to move to a new place, how do you think he feels? You think he feels sad that he has to leave his friends behind? Or does he get excited because he knows that there will be different friends somewhere else? How would you feel if that happened to you? If you were sad, would you tell your parents, or would you just say, well, that's something we have to do? Or would you let them know? I don't know. That's a question you have to ask. So friends, next time you're in the grocery store, I want you to look at the fruit and vegetables and remember that there's somebody that picked that for you. And think about everything that they went through in order to get that food to you at the grocery store or at the market. That's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed our reading of Radio Man. Until next time, I will say goodbye.